you ready for this?
Yeah, let's go.
Okay. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to your favorite podcast. You know the name. Whoa, whoa, whoa! Whoa, whoa, whoa! You don't know about the singing mic?
I do.
The singing mic! Well, I always offer it to the guests.
Oh, God, no. I'm Filipino, but I can't sing.
What?
I know.
I mean, what? Ladies and gentlemen, this is the side episode of Scooby and Lashes. Even though she hates that name. Whoa, whoa, whoa! I'm a Riffin with Riffin. All right, we're done.
You can really sing, though.
Well, you know.
I feel so disadvantaged because I feel like it should be deeply imprinted in my DNA to sing and dance.
I know you should have a singing machine at your place.
I do.
Okay, when you were growing up, you had a singing machine.
Of course,
you had vases.
What's the thing with vases? I think you said that the last time, and I don't get
because
it.
When I was growing up, all my friends were Filipino.
You had one. Okay.
No. All my friends from high school were Filipino. Like when I was growing up, I had like all these Filipino friends, and I would go to their house, and they would have like Jesus, and like their place was full of vases and like these different sizes, and they had all different types of rice dispensers and like big huge rice cookers. And
they didn't have the rice dispensers where I came from.
Oh, really? Where did you come from?
We had to pull it out the sack.
Oh, you had to. They had that too.
Are you rice shaming me?
Oh, come on. I'm right. Anyway, first of all, welcome to the podcast. How do you say your last name? Kuhn?
Why don't we never, ever say my last name? I'm just Khalyla.
Okay.
Because no one ever...
you're like Jackie now?
No, Madonna.
You're like Madonna? Oh, my God. This is a nightmare.
No, it's because no one ever
Bobby
gets it right.
has created a monster. How do you say it? Kuhn?
It's Kuhn.
Kuhn.
But the reason I never tell anybody is because you're not going to remember.
Why is it spelled Khun? That's how you say Kuhn?
It's Kuhn.
Even still. Oh, you're right. Ku.
Yeah, and it's supposed to have like an umlaut on top of the U.
Oh, Kuhn. I see it now. Kuh, because of Hoon.
Yeah. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you fine. You don't hear yourself great?
No, but it's fine as long as you hear me okay.
I hear you great.
Okay, perfect.
Can you hear me good?
Yeah, really good.
Okay, everybody always has like listen, I don't have a Gilbert. There's no George over here writing notes. It's just me.
I'm really impressed with your setup.
Well, I also cleaned it. There should be like more wires right here. It was like, I'm gonna get a rug right here so you don't even see any of that. Because people are, I'm usually like a really private person, so I don't let people come over to my place. I don't have gatherings. I'm just in my little bachelor condo thing here. I don't. But now I was like, you know what? Let me do my podcast here. Let me open this up, and let people come over. Bobby comes over, and the first thing he does is he talks shit. Then he has some secret Tiger Belly podcast where he's talking shit about my place, like I'm some kind of like hermit living in like a weird. You know what I mean? That's why I was like, this is why I don't let people over. But I was like, let me just let the shit go. That's Bobby. That's who he is. So.
You've been to our storage facility.
That's true. It's
half this size.
But how's the new place though? Like the new place, is it already messy? Is it a zoo already?
I really value the time when Bobby's out of town because it's my time to deep clean. It's my time to actually
disinfect.
Enjoy the house for all its potential. Because once he's back, it's just wrappers and sticky juice bottles by the bed,
Oh, he eats in bed?
He drinks. He likes to have his apocalypse snacks at the side of his bed, just in case, there's an earthquake in the middle of the night and he needs a snack. So
there's like crumbs and things like that around it?
Yeah, and it just, that
leads to like bed bugs and things like that. This is like, we're getting the insides right now. The stuff that he can't get in the way of. I don't know. I do thank you for coming on. I'm so sick of people, it's like once I put Bobby and Steve on the podcast together doing the movie thing, we did it twice. And I was like, I'm still trying to have them come do it, but it's just hard to get them together now. So then every day people are like, when's the movie podcast coming on? When are you guys doing it again?
Were you guys supposed to do it once a month?
Yes.
That's not a big ask.
Who are you telling? You're telling me like I don't know that that's not a big, you know, and then I can't get them together. And then all that shit happened. So they were like kind of fighting. And then like, and there's always something, you know, and now they're, you know, their dad died. So they're dealing with that. And they're still, you know, there's always some kind of turmoil in their lives. Yeah. Even though they're still doing their podcasts. You get what I'm saying? Yeah. So they just don't have the bandwidth to add another one. So, you know, so I have that every day. Somebody's like, when is Bobby? And, you know, okay. Now, on top of that, it's when you and Khalyla should do the podcast. When is Scooby and Lashes going to start happening? Well, I don't know. We haven't even. I've been out of town. She's been dealing with Bobby and his family. Like again, it's like it's always a mess. And then I have to. On top of that, I have to deal with like red and yellow. Erik, stop being a bitch. Let Bobby and Andrew do their podcast. Why are you being like that every day? Or it's like, oh, you and Bobby would be better. Or like, you know, I have to deal with this every day. Nobody's like yammering about my podcast. They just talking about what I should be doing on my podcast or like what I should be doing with other people. So it's just.
I don't think it's that bad. I at least you don't get gold digging whore at least 6 times a day.
You know what? I feel so much better now.
Yeah. I think you have it pretty good.
Yeah, gold digging. Yeah, I you know what? I actually get that on. Because when people say, well, like, you know, yeah, you'd be better than that gold digging whore. No, that's you guys. You got to stop saying that.
No,
you gotta let that go.
That stuff doesn't bother me.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be laughing about it if it bothered me.
Well, what does bother you?
Not a lot these days.
Not anything. Yeah, you. How could you let anything bother you with Bobby in your life?
And in fact, I think the, you know. I thank the trolls for really thickening my skin in ways I never thought I could do on my own.
That's so true.
They've given me a deeper understanding and a deeper. It's just they're not. It's just a projection. It's never really about you. It really just is a projection. And I talked to a troll. I interviewed my troll.
Oh, really?
On a Patreon episode.
Oh,
so you don't watch my shit either.
Yeah. Wait. You want me to pay to watch?
I could have given you the audio.
Okay. Well, yeah, I didn't know that was available. There you go. I'm gonna have to check that out.
The unedited audio.
The unedited. So you interviewed a troll. That's a good idea.
Yeah.
How did that go?
Really well. He was a really bright, nice young man who lived a very normal life, and you know he couldn't really figure out what about me upset him besides like the
in person he couldn't or like over. I'm sure he couldn't. Because when you call those people out, they oftentimes are like, I can't believe this is happening.
Yeah, and it wasn't about like I know I'm not supposed. That's a cardinal rule, right? Like never give him any, you know, airtime.
Right.
But I genuinely wanted to know why he was saying as much as he was saying, and he didn't know it either. So I came to the conclusion that you guys whatever.
Get coffee once a month now.
Yeah, I actually really liked him.
Are you saying like if Bobby wasn't around?
No, I genuinely connected with him.
Oh.
He's somebody that I think that I would have been friends with in a different lifetime.
Well, there was something about you, obviously, that like he was like, I don't know why. I don't get it. I don't know what inspires people to write these things. But for me, I learned that I have to let it go. Because when you read what they say, you want to reason with them sometimes. You go, you don't understand what I'm talking about. You don't know all the facts. And they just say these things.
Yeah.
And then you're just like, okay.
But it's because they don't understand that they say those things, and you can't expect them to understand it the way you do. So they're only seeing a very shallow version of you. No matter how much you give of yourself in a podcast, they're only really seeing 2%. They don't know the ins and outs of your day. They don't know what you look like when you're genuinely upset.
I think you guys give a lot on the podcast. I almost want to say you guys give too much on the podcast. How do you feel about that? Well, this is great. Like the inside of like you guys get so personal. More than anyone else. You guys you might not even realize it. What do you think about that?
I'll tell you the drawbacks of being really personal, especially about your sex life, is that I have rendered sexuality. Like I have a very it's backfired on me because here I am being so pragmatic about the way I speak about sex and being so open and seemingly unaffected by, all the crazy things that are happening in my life. But I've talked it to the point of I'm bored of the idea of sex. Anytime I hear people talk about sex, I don't giggle anymore. I don't have feelings towards the topic of sex because we've talked it dead. We've talked it to the point of it being so just overdone.
There's nothing mythical about it anymore. There's nothing exciting about it anymore.
Yeah.
Well, has it affected your own personal sex life because of that? Oh, that's terrible.
I mean, we've told everybody about the types of, role playing we've done. And where I'm like, no, fuck, I got to come up with new characters.
But is it a point where you're out at a restaurant and people say the character name or something like that? What are you guys role playing right now? Is this how you start? But does
that make sense?
Yeah, no, it totally does. It totally does. I totally understand. It's this thing of being so vulnerable and open. And sometimes I get this a lot from my close friends who watch my podcast, and they'll say to me, "Oh man, I didn't know that about you." Mm-hmm. I've never heard that story before, or I never knew that about you. Yeah. And so you guys, as I've watched a few episodes, whatever, it's damn, you guys really go. And that's just the nature of Bobby, me knowing Bobby, he's such an open book. And
he's roped me into that.
Right. Do you regrets?
Parts of it, but mostly it is very freeing. I don't know. It's a weird paradox. It's freeing, but it also feels like a prison where it's no one can hold all of this over your head, but everyone can hold this over your head.
Yes.
I haven't thought about it or haven't been in it long enough to know what the end effect is. But it's a weird place to be. But I do appreciate this about Bobby is that he made me a lot more unafraid to just say it, to own it, and whatever consequence comes out of it, just deal with it. It's made me less afraid of my own secrets.
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
Yes. That's because when you say people hold it over your head, I think it's the kind of thing where it's about, it can only be held over your head if you're ashamed of it.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's something about him for sure, that he doesn't seem to be ashamed of anything. And even if he feels some shame, he doesn't let it. It's not going to affect him to the point where, well, that's it. I'm going to have to leave society.
You're right. He doesn't let it fester. I'm not there yet. I do let things fester.
Oh, so it's what you're saying to me right now is that this does bother you. You're weighing the benefits, the rewards, the adulation, the money, and that's that kind of stuff is weighed up against how it's affecting your personality and your psyche.
I'll tell you this. I'll give a perfect example. Where are you at on it right
now?
You can ask me anything about the deep cavernous area of my cervix, every little ribbed, and you want to see it, you want to stick your head up there, be my guest. But the one thing that I am still that I have shame about is the whole career nursing thing that I just don't want to talk about. And I always if anyone brings it up, I deflect. And that's because right before I met Bobby, I turned down the job, and I called myself a nurse because I finished the program and I graduated. But besides, being a student and spending 2 years in a hospital as a student, I never worked at the place that I was supposed to as a nurse. Do you know what I mean?
Well, supposed to is a weird word, but keep going.
Because imagine that. You can stick your head up into my cervix and I have no shame about that. But if anyone were to bring that up about the whole nursing thing, it really strikes a chord, and I feel really shameful that I didn't see that through.
Well, it's interesting because I didn't bring it up. You actually brought it up.
It's been festering. That's why.
Well, this could talk about it. I mean, I think that it's because what do you think? Did you think that you weren't going to be good enough to be a nurse?
No, I was great. And I was great during my nursing program. And this is going to sound so stupid and petty, but the reason I felt justified in not being a nurse is because I was really bad with my hands. My hands are sweaty. I couldn't put on gloves. And I remember my last clinical rotation. And it sounds petty, but there was an emergent situation. I needed to see a patient who was decompensating, and I tried to put on my gloves because it was. I couldn't, Eric. I could not put on my gloves.
Really? No,
And that's
no. Did you not? Are you saying you physically couldn't put them on?
I couldn't physically put on the gloves.
So it wasn't like a mental thing where you were like,
no. My hands were sweating.
But isn't there something that you could get for that?
Yeah, I had Botox in my hands for 6 years to the point where they atrophied and my muscles didn't work anymore.
Got you.
Where I couldn't even properly hold a pen. And I don't want to say that out loud because it sounds so dumb and everyone's bring baby powder to work.
No. First of all, it's not dumb. To me, it just sounds like you wanted to be great at the job. And this was something that was holding you back. And you are feeling a certain way about that. You let this limitation hold you back. And you seem to have not forgiven yourself for that. Are you a perfectionist?
I am. And I think that's because I was beat as a child relentlessly by my mother, where if I made just a small wrong turn, it was the end of the world and I got my ass beat. So if I know that I can't see it through to the end perfectly,
right,
I'm not even going to bother. And I've tried to change that over the year, but over the last couple of years, I've acknowledged that about myself.
Right. No, it's just brave. It's like that's...
It's not brave to say you can't fucking work as a nurse because you have sweaty hands.
No, because that's not what it is. What it is like the trauma of trying to be perfect by this standard that your mom set for you, she's still with you.
Yeah.
You know, she's so everything that you're doing, she's with you. So that was one of those things that even if it's something small, in your mind, you heard your mom like, "Your sweaty hands," and she was beating you in the hospital, but metaphorically. So, I mean, why haven't you? So you haven't forgiven yourself?
No, and I carry a big bag of shame about that because...
About the nursing thing. Why?
Yeah, because I tell everyone a different story. I tell everyone I met Bobby and he gave me this, big avenue to be creative and that's just what I chose over nursing. But the point is I couldn't... I was so good in theory as a nurse where I could give you all the pathology of anything, but I couldn't physically work with my hands.
Why did you become a nurse?
Because I couldn't become a doctor. I couldn't live with the idea of being in that much debt.
Why did you want to be a doctor?
I had always been fascinated and really, really just medicine was my thing. That's what I was good at. I was always very good in the sciences. I was a biochemistry major.
Oh, really?
And
didn't know this.
I tutored in both community college and in university as a microbiology tutor, as an anatomy physiology tutor.
Was there any pressure from your parents, from your mom to be like, "I want you to be a doctor"? Is there other doctors in your family?
Yeah, my dad that's another thing, following in the footsteps of my dad, but not quite as great. He was an MD, but never practiced. So he finished medical school, but never practiced.
And why is that?
Hey, he's a rich kid.
Him? Oh, so he didn't really want to do it.
He was a rich kid that ended up doing other things and creative things.
Was he happy?
Who knows? He was married 3 times.
Oh, okay. No, I'm just trying to find out, you're
digging deep.
You're the one that did it.
My armpits are sweating. No one asks me these things.
You want me to ask you these things. So, all right. So
I feel like you're the only one who'll listen.
I'm listening to you. I get it. So you wanted to be, so if you had to ask yourself honestly, did you really want to be a doctor? Were those things really interesting to you? Or was it the fact that your dad was a doctor and that's why you became interested?
It was really interesting to me.
Okay.
I still have dreams of going back to school. And
why don't you?
Not being a medical doctor, but getting, I don't know, maybe something along the lines of other things, just not.
But there's so many different fields. Like you don't have to have a scalpel in your hand, but you could be like a pathologist. You could be like you could be a researcher, a medical researcher. There's so many types of things like that. Have you ever honestly thought about it and think like, maybe I can really, because you actually can do it.
I can do it.
Yeah.
It's just about whether I want to commit, a certain amount of years to it now.
Right.
And, but yeah, I think about it all the time. I think about it probably at least 3 times a day.
Then why? Then what's stopping you? Because do you really want to have that regret?
I don't know if I can sustain the life that I have now if I fully immerse myself back into being a student. Because when I'm a student, I'm full. I'm a student, and I don't know what the repercussions will be on my relationship, on my life, and like I take care of Bobby a lot.
Right. So that scares you.
I don't know how much time I can offer him if I all of a sudden fall in love with being a student again.
Mm-hmm. Well, is there anything in you to learn moderation?
Yeah, maybe. We'll see. I don't know. Perfectionism doesn't allow for moderation. It's either you're all in or you're not.
But see, that's a you problem.
It's a me problem.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I feel like there's got to be a medium of like, because I would hate for you to have this unfulfilled thing, because then it's going to build resentment. And you're going to like later, you're going to be like, I should have done this, but because of you, you're going to be blaming him.
No.
When it's really you.
That I'll never do. This is something that I know is a very me thing. I would never throw that on him. And in fact, he's always said, yeah, go back to school. He's never not let me fly.
Well, then how crazy is it then? Like, what are you saying to yourself right now?
I'm putting an anchor on my own ship.
Yes.
It's what I've done my whole life. You're my therapist. You tell me.
No, I'm just trying to find out like what I'm trying to find out to navigate this thought process with you. I'm just like, I'm so interested because I think a lot of people have these kinds of fears and insecurities and like they have these things, this baggage from their parents that like we go, why am I like this? And we go like, okay, so once we can understand like this is why I'm like this, now it's about like, well, how can I overcome that? And I'm hearing from you that like you actually have a lot of the things ready to go to overcome this. You just haven't made that next step.
Yeah. And you're right. And it might be closer to it than I think I am.
Yeah.
And maybe next year I'll, pull the trigger and do it.
Well, maybe you should, have you thought about trying like, well, let me try one class. Or let me try like, you know what I mean? Just to see. Because maybe there's like some undergrad class that you can take that you only had to take like a couple of units, and then you could like, and then be like, oh, look at me. I'm actually managing, because maybe Bobby has taught you how to manage many things.
Yeah.
And like, because there's not perfection in your life right now. Mm-hmm. So how is it being a perfectionist with someone that does not allow perfection?
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. I've learned to practice tolerance and cleaning a lot.
You went from podcast partner and maid. Yeah, but I bet you clean though. That's because that's part of your quirk.
I just like
you can't have a cup just sitting here. You're gonna be
no, it's gonna stain the wood.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. I'm gonna light my candles from the Hangover Candle Company. You know what I mean? Since we're getting deep here. So
I know. Are we getting too deep? See, no. I told you that one episode we did of Scorpion Lashes, because it wasn't a Tiger Belly episode. That was lightning in a bottle. What if we can never recreate that?
You're acting like what we're doing right now isn't already like fantastic.
Yeah, but this shit is not joyous and funny. This shit's like,
oh, what do you fucking... But that's not the reason why everybody watches things, to be joyous and funny. I think people just want interesting conversations, and then they listen and they go, and then that's how they relate to us in some way. I mean, I just find myself like, when I first started doing this, I was doing these solo episodes, and I was like, damn, how do you be funny? Like when I look at Chris D'Elia and Theo, I'm like, they're so silly on there, just by themselves talking. Like, Theo's just like, then the pig, and and I did the thing, and then there was this guy, and like, I don't know why I did it, and just the way, and it's just his vernacular and everything. People just find that like, oh man, this is endearing, Yeah. But I'm just not like that. I'm that way with when I'm interacting with other people. I find myself, but when I'm doing it by myself, dude, I'm super like serious and like I'm just giving my points, So it just naturally lends itself to that. But I still think that it still could be interesting and entertaining. I mean, I find this fascinating what you're talking about, and I do feel like you want to talk about this. I think that you're around that crazy person so often that it's like, you get lost in the. You're just like, oh, someone hear me, And I feel like he's that way with me himself. Like, it's just when it's like certain moments, he'll call me and I just know that, oh, he just needs to like talk to me about something.
Yeah.
And not even like he wants my opinion. He just, blah, 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 blah. And I get him though. I get his quirks. You know, that's why we're friends, you know? But like, I'm just saying to you, it's like right now, it's like, I think that you should use this as an example, you know, your relationship with him and how it's like changed you. Maybe you're not going to be the student that you thought you were or that you need to be. Maybe it's like have no expectations and just try this, because if it doesn't work out, you already did that already.
Yeah.
You went to school and you didn't follow through because you did something else that's still equally as great.
Yeah.
So then you could do it again. You could try it again and then be like, you know what? Actually, I like my other life.
Yeah.
You know, and then you'd be like, but then.
Hey, that's a good point.
You know?
To even have the reference to say I prefer one over the other.
Yeah.
How can I even say that? How can I know for sure that this is the life that I want if I don't try the other one out?
Yeah.
That's a good point.
Yeah. So I just say like, you know, and then like, I think that you just like I think that you use your mom as a crutch.
Oh, dang.
Yeah, I do. And I think that and I'm thinking in this whole, like in the little petty things, you use those as like you're propping them up just to be like, well, I mean, my hands are sweaty, so I can't. Yeah. I think that's something that you would know you could overcome. As a science person, you know you can overcome
the hyperhidrosis. There's nothing I can do about that. Well, unless I cut a nerve like right between my tits.
You see what I'm saying?
What?
You already know all this kind of stuff.
Yeah, but you're gonna see me and I'm like sweating in my earlobes and you're like, why do you have sweat there? Oh, I'm sorry, Eric. I have compensatory sweating from that time you told me to cut the nerve between my tits.
Wait, first of all, I never said for you to cut that nerve.
You said there, you even know the solution.
No, I'm saying you know what causes it and everything. You actually have a intellectual understanding of what's happening to you. You know what I mean? It's not like you're sitting here going like, oh my God, my hands are sweaty and I can't do anything. You're actually like, oh, I actually know why my hands sweat.
Yeah.
I know some solutions. I know some things to do. And it's like, what I'm saying is like, it doesn't sound like something that you can't overcome. This is just a mental block that you've put on yourself. You're building your own walls and you don't have to. But I see you as right now as just somebody that's like taking one of the bricks out and you're looking out like, maybe this isn't so bad.
You know what? That's the one thing that I wish I'm a pussy. Right now, in this stage in my life,
you're scared.
I've never been more scared than I am now. And I don't understand why. When I was a broke college kid, geez, like the decisions that I made were just big and reckless, but very, very rewarding. You know, now I don't know if I feel like I have a lot to lose.
Yeah, that's what it is. You know, fear. Like I just think fear stops everybody from doing a lot of things, you know, like fear is like, you know, fear of failure, fear of success. I think you have a lot of that too. Fear of success, you know,
you know what I have? I also have a fear. I always feel like an imposter everywhere I go. I feel like I'm an imposter in this podcasting world. I feel like I'm an imposter when I, you know, give any type of like information or if I spit out anything I learned in school. You know what I mean? Like when you earlier you said you had a guest that wanted to become an astronaut.
Yeah.
Or let's say you had an astronaut, right? They just know their shit, and because they are that, right? They are that. Podcasting is where you're like, anyone can be a podcaster. So, and everyone that I'm surrounded by is like a legitimate comedian. So I feel like an imposter.
So, okay, wow, we're really getting into this. This is great because I think that this is about self-doubt, right? So you doubt yourself.
Yeah.
You don't feel like you get enough.
Never.
Okay, so there you go. These are all these are things, but these are things you can attack if you attack them like a nurse.
Yeah.
Like, you know, like a scientist. You listen to what you're saying. You're going like, I don't believe I belong here. So maybe that was like, even when you were a nurse, you were like, you know, was there any point where you were like, I am super confident about what I'm doing and who I am?
I'm super confident in what I knew, and like I said, like in theory, like you couldn't give me a disease process I couldn't break down for you. I just couldn't work with my hands. Okay,
but again, that's still, there's still avenues to go into.
Yeah,
there's
of
research,
course, of course.
And teaching, there's a lot of things.
Yeah, I think I was,
But But why did you think? Did you think that you couldn't actually be a nurse?
I could have been some type of nurse.
See, look how you say that. It's such doubt in your voice of like
some type, just not somebody like I could have been like a public health nurse. I could have been someone who did more like nursing education for families and stuff like that, but not bedside, not in the ICU where I wanted to be. You know,
so that's disappointing.
It's disappointing. Yeah. And I put that own expectation on myself. No one else did. I just thought that I needed to be a hot shot. If I was going to be a nurse, I needed to be a hot shot.
How do you know that you wouldn't have been a hot shot?
I can't put on gloves, Eric.
I know, but
that's like a basic requirement for like handling any type of like, you know, medical procedure. Is
this a real thing? Like you're saying that like
give me a pair of gloves, latex gloves right now. We'll test out my theory.
No, I'm just saying that the thought process here is that you literally can't put gloves on, and that's why you're not a high-powered nurse right now.
Yeah, I'll tell you why. Even something like starting an IV, putting in a catheter, putting in a rectal tube, my hands would be dripping. I was making cake batter inside my pair of gloves if I could even get them on because I had put on so much baby powder. I had made cake batter on there. And it was such a secret that I kept from all my peers in nursing school because people thought, wow, she's so smart. She aces the exams. She knows everything and everything. She could talk your ear off about nursing.
She got cake hands.
But she got fucking cake hands. So when it was time, so it was
What if your nickname was birthday cake? Come birthday cake. But do you don't have any regrets of like hiding that? Because have you ever secretly done some research to be like, is there something I could do about this?
Yes, there was this one respiratory therapist who was like, oh, I have sweaty hands too. And I'm like, what do you do? And that's why he was like, you know, baby powder. So I did that. I put a fucking, brought a little bag of baby powder and that shit backfired and made birthday cake.
But that's like this, but there was no other techniques?
Botox for 6 years.
Oh, got you.
I've done everything.
Oh, but you're doing the Botox now just for yourself.
No, I don't do it anymore.
I'm saying before, it wasn't because you were doing nursing. You were just like, it just it became like the bane of your existence. Was like, my sweaty hands.
Yeah.
It's only good for giving hand jobs, right?
That's honestly the only thing it's good for. And I don't know if you noticed, but I have really pretty hands. It's moisturized it over the years. And I have really young looking hands because of it. Because my knuckles sweat.
Oh God. This is like a weird like there's gonna be people out there like hitting you up like my knuckles sweat too. You're gonna be like the knuckle sweat advocate person.
Have you not? Okay, so people when they think that sweaty hands, this is really mild right now, but they think that only the palms sweat.
Right.
You just the whole top.
You're just drenched. Mm-hmm. Damn. Well. Can
I show you my feet?
Yeah, what's going on with the feet?
Look how sweaty they are.
Oh wait, you got can you back up?
I have knuckles.
There's something on there.
No, don't, because it's a sweat. See, that's the thing.
No. There's like a thing that was on the ground.
Oh.
There you go.
But you know why it stuck to my foot?
Yeah,
because my feet are sweating.
Sweaty appendages you have. That's
I can't even hold newspapers.
Oh man. Okay, well, all right. This is a thing.
You want to touch my armpit?
No, I get like that too. That's why I
no.
turn the AC
You want to bet? I bet you if I put my hand underneath your armpit.
You have like a sweater. It's a little bit warm. That's why I have to have the AC
I'll touch your armpits. You touch mine.
No, I'm sure hey, look at me. I'm already.
That's nothing. My God.
Listen,
see, I'm wearing really loose. It's not a good sight.
So you don't like going to like beach vacations because you just get, or is that's perfect to go to someplace?
It's perfect because you should be sweating there.
Yeah. Okay. So all right.
Okay, let's move the fuck on from my sweaty hands and my
you're the one that went
shame
into
of not being a nurse.
All right. But I do feel like if you want to go in the medical field, you can, and there's a way for you to do it. But the other issue we're talking about, regardless of wanting to be a nurse, is this feeling that you're not good enough to be anything.
Yeah.
Right. So that's the thing that has to be overcome, because that's not true. Because Tiger Belly is great. It's not just because of Bobby. Like, don't fool yourself. Don't think that you don't add value to that dynamic. So that's why I'm not really upset about it.
But if it was horrible, you'd be.
Oh, well, yeah, of course, because it would be your fault. But no, it's like, no, you see the good comments too that people say. It's like, it's not, you have to know that worked. That was magic. It obviously, like, and he knew it too. Once you guys got rolling, it was like, oh, we really got something here. Mm-hmm. So you can't sit there and be like, well, I bring nothing to this. It's not true at all. I mean, it's the reason why it wasn't just Andrew and I coming on Tiger Belly guest hosting that made it like that. It was because you made it easy to sit in that chair. Mm-hmm. So you have to know that you actually could go do your own podcast if you wanted to. Mm-hmm. You could just, like, you know what I mean? You could be like, you could do it with anyone and it'll work.
Yeah.
So you just have to know that that's a thing.
Yeah. Are there nursing dreams you had?
Me? Nursing?
No, not nursing.
Nursing, you mean like a dream that you wanted to be something else?
Yeah.
You know what? I don't know, because I didn't know what I wanted to do, because, again, you had this pressure. Like, my mom was always pressuring me, like, you need to, school, you got to finish college. She wanted me to be something, you know what I mean? But ultimately, she just wanted me to be happy, like, be great at something, or, and then, like, when you're looking at society, you're like, oh, well, I guess that has to be a lawyer, a doctor, a business person, and then, like, entertainment business is just a pipe dream, because when I was first telling her, like, I think I want to do this, she was like, oh no, I don't, what? But I'll never forget, my mom I did this, like, improv acting class at UCLA Extension, and we had, like, a showcase, and my mom came to the showcase, and afterwards she was like, oh, you really could do this. And I think she needed that for herself to be like, and that's when she was like gung ho about, like, you should go do this, go do that, go to these classes. And she was like super supportive.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's just, so I know when I was a little kid, I said I wanted to be a comedian. I said that to my mom, even though I don't remember that. But, so I guess I'm doing what I wanted to do, but I have regrets too, because I stopped. I had fear that I was like, I can't do this.
How long did you stop, and when did you stop?
8 years.
You stopped for 8 years?
Yeah, I started doing comedy like in my early 20s. And then I just was like going to open mics in LA, and it was terrible. Because then I was so arrogant. It was just like, I'm funny. And then you go back to the open mic and you're like, oh, it's the same people doing the same jokes. It's stupid. I want to get on that stage. I want to do this. But I didn't know how to do it. I didn't know how to, like, navigate my psyche and how I, talk about things. I just hadn't had nothing was developed yet. And I just didn't have it. I just was scared of failure. I didn't want to be on stage and people, like, I was going to boo me or, like, be like, you suck, or no one laugh. I didn't know how to deal with that. And I didn't deal with it until I was much older.
Yeah.
So, but I have regrets for that.
But maybe that's what you needed, though. I mean, I know that regrets about, like, feeling like, you wasted 8 years that you could have contributed to even being, like, a better performer now. But maybe you weren't at that age or at that mindset or at that maturity to really tackle it the way you should have tackled it to begin with.
Well, I know, but again, I look back on those were just, I can look back on it and be like, oh man, I let my fear get in the way. The things you're talking about now is just like, that's just how I dealt with it, how I overcame it now.
Yeah.
But I could still look back and be like, damn it, I should have done this.
Yeah.
Why did I let myself like wait so long?
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's okay to look back because that's how you learn from your mistakes.
Yeah.
So it's just like, that's what I'm saying to you. It's like, you could still, it's never too late to do anything.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's never too late because you're just like, oh, because I always feel like I want to go to school myself. I feel like I want to go to school and then, like, become a psychologist.
Do you ever feel the way, I always feel like I'm getting dumber. Do you feel that way?
I don't feel like we're getting dumber. I feel like we're not thirsting for knowledge anymore.
Yeah. It's like, I think that the reason that I have this desire to go back to school is because I do feel like I'm falling behind. Like all these, I feel like I'm falling behind compared to everybody that's currently in school where I'm like, shit, like I remember being in college and just absorbing. Right. And I'm always in that, I go to school every day and something is new. I go home and there's something to mull over.
Right.
I don't have that anymore. And I have this fear that it's just all, those synapses that I built for so long in school are now weakening and eventually I'll just lose it.
Or they're developed to the point now where information is coming to you and you're processing it fast and you don't realize it. You know, like it's not just like when you were in the environment where you were taking in all this information about things, that's the environment you were in.
Yeah.
I think I think you're still in that environment. It's just in a different way. Cause like when you sit down and talk for hours with people like twice a week, you know, you're just processing faster, you know, it's like, oh, I got that. I think if you went back to school right now, you may still not feel that feeling that you felt because you're going to be like, oh, I know how to do this. You know, I read this book, I write this paper, I do this. Your shelves in your brain are organized now.
Yeah.
And you're just like, okay, that goes here, this goes here, that goes here, this goes here. And you're just like moving and grooving. That's what happens as we get older.
Yeah, but when you get older, your brain's not as like pliable.
Yeah, but you're talking about 50, 60, 70 years old.
My brain's dead. It's dying.
Oh
it's
my
dying.
God.
Anyways, you would have made a great psychologist.
Look at these things you're saying about yourself.
I'm saying you would have made a great psychologist or a therapist or a psychiatrist or whatever, anything in that field, or a social worker. I think that you have that in you. You're a very good listener and you are a very comforting person to be around.
Well, you know, I appreciate that, but I have started to think about that but see, that's why I had to go to therapy and like work on boundaries and things like that, you know, because it's like, you know, you can't, if you're like this, people pick up on that.
Are you the dumping ground for emotions? Oh, me too.
Yes. And then people just like, you know, I had this friend of mine, this girl that, and then she like something happened in her life, you know, and then I could just text like, she tried to call me and I was like, well, I didn't answer. Then I got a text message like, yeah, it's really urgent, you know? And I was like, urgent? Like, I don't even know you that well. What's so urgent, you know? And then we started talking and it was just that something happened at her job and she just needed to talk to me just because I okay, calm down. Tell me what happened. You know, like, well, I think you could do this. Don't worry about this. And I was just helping her organize her thought. And I was just like, damn, this is a lot.
It is a lot.
You know, that's a lot. And so like, but I'm more aware of it now, how much it is, that I'm kind of like, yo, I'm not here for that for everybody. That's boundaries, you know?
Yeah. I think that's fair. And that's why I don't understand when people have like, you know, when they say like they have like 30 friends, 30 really close friends. I'm like, how the fuck do you have time?
Yeah, you don't have,
like,
they're not friends.
They're not. The level of friendship that I require to call someone a friend is very deep. Like it's, you know, you take me to the airport at least 6 times in my life.
Well, I mean,
I need airport love.
You got to get an Uber at this point.
No. It's still a thing.
No, I don't listen. I ain't taking you to the airport. You know, I'm not helping you move.
It doesn't make you feel special when someone takes you. It's not a feeling you have.
Not any. Only reason why it made you feel special before is because you know how expensive a cab is, and it's like
Uber is still expensive.
You can't get to but it's not. But that's a part of life now. People Uber places now. So like it's actually rude to ask somebody to take you to the airport and pick you up. You like, get the fuck out of here. It's on your phone, man. You can get home. Like, that's just lazy.
Do you know that's what Bobby requires? Me money. Bobby requires that out of me. I have to be waiting at the airport and I have to be in the right spot, receiving him at the base of the elevator.
First of all, this is why him and I are such close friends. I know exactly what he's talking about. Okay, like I want your ass at like, because you know what? Because I do that.
Yeah.
When I go to the airport, if your flight comes in at 5, I'm at the airport at 5. Okay.
Oh, you're good about that.
I'm at the airport. So I'm sorry. I'm there at 4:30 because it's a post 9/11 world. Okay.
Oh my God.
I'm at the airport. I'm parked. I'm in the terminal. You know, this is me. When you coming down the escalator, I'm like, I'm here because I just know how it is to travel.
Yeah.
I know I travel all the time. So I know how it is to get off a plane and you just to see that familiar face.
Yeah.
When I first was with Rachel, we were like, I had to tell her like, no, you can't pick me up. Yeah. Because the one time she came to pick me up, it was like, I have a procedure.
Yeah.
It's like, I get off the thing here, park. Right. I told her, this is where you should park. No, she want to park like down the thing. I'm like, nah. And then she want to have an attitude about it. Like, well, you know what? You could just Uber. I was like, oh, I know. I'm just going to Uber.
Okay. So now I understand, because one time I was 5 minutes late and I wasn't at the base of the elevator with coffee in my hand to receive Bobby. And
with coffee? This is getting really intense. With coffee?
You can have the coffee beans right next to
okay,
the,
gotcha.
yeah. And he was really upset. And he's never been high maintenance like that.
No, but no. It's I totally get it. It's because you know what? What is it? It's not hard for you as the person picking somebody up. Like, come on, have some sympathy for this person who probably dealt with some bullshit on a flight. Like, just they're sitting there, they're dealing with other people, they're getting to the airport, waking up. And when you get off that plane, it is very refreshing to see your loved one there ready to go. Not like, you know what I can't.
But I made a mistake one time, and you know what he said?
What?
Yeah, you don't know how to do it. You don't know how to do it. That's him. He just waved me off. You don't know how to fucking do anything. I'm like, whoa, oh my God.
That was just his travel. That was the travel bullshit.
Brain. Yeah.
But I can't stand when people go, you land, and they go, text me when you land.
Yeah. Oh, no.
Hey, guess what? My flight comes in at 5. I don't need to text you. Okay, I'll let you know, yes, I've landed, and your ass should be there. Yeah. You know what I mean? Because that's just so inconsiderate to be standing on the curb waiting for somebody.
Right.
I don't even do that. Like, if I'm picking you, this is what, when I'm picking you up for the airport, I fucking park.
I park too.
It's $3.
Yeah, it stresses me out to pick people up curbside.
Me too. I had to use, the people are like, man, honking, and the cops are there. It's like, no, I don't like all that traffic right there. Yeah. It's easier to get out of the airport. And first of all, they give you 15 minutes free anyway. Yeah. So if you work it out right, you park, you walk in, the motherfucker's walking off the plane. We get the bags and we go and we drive right out. If not, it's $3 fucking. Yeah. You know what I mean? I can't stand that. Or people, and then these people get mad. They well, I was circling. Nobody told you to circle.
Circling, that's so much more work.
Exactly. Especially at LAX. LAX is the worst.
Yeah, it's the worst.
It's the worst. It's the worst freaking airport. But I don't know what we were talking about. But
friendship, levels of friendship, airport friendship.
Levels of friendship. Now, I agree with you completely about, that's why I don't let chicks tell me like, oh, I just want to be friends. Because I'm like, oh, you don't get to dictate the terms of our relationship. Because like, I don't know what you think friends are, but I don't text my guy friends like, hey, what's up? Was just thinking about you. Yeah. No, this is a courting situation. Yeah. And if the courting is not going to go that way and you want to be friends, time for you to step up and be friends. Yeah. So what's your part in the friendship? Yeah. So people don't even know. Like, you know what you would never say? You never hear about somebody go, I want a one-night friend.
A one-night friend? What's that like? Oh, I know what those are. I think I had one.
No, what I'm saying is this is like, isn't it strange that you would have sex with a stranger? Someone you just met, right? You would do that. But like, I don't just go, oh, we're now good friends. Like I wouldn't just meet you and be like, you're gonna be the my best friend in the world in one night. You wouldn't do that. Friendship takes time to build. Yeah. Right?
Yeah, I think all the people that I have in my life have been around for at least 10 years.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of give and take and a lot of work put into all my friendships. I treasure my friendships deeply. I don't have a big circle, but it's a very tight circle. It's a very loving circle. And I would bend over backwards and pick all of them up from the airport.
Well, that just happens over time. You the big thing about just picking up from the airport. Maybe you should be an Uber driver. Like maybe that's.
What are you talking about? I Ubered over here.
It's just like, because your hands are too sweaty for the steering wheel.
Yeah, I can't do anything.
You're just like, oh my God, I'm so sweaty.
I have a question. How much on your show or any podcast do you talk about like your personal life or your girlfriend and things like that?
I try not to. I made a mistake once when I was still with Rachel, my girlfriend. I was on Rogan, and then like I said her age. Yeah. And it was like, oh God. Mm-hmm. Like, and I, as I said it, I was like, oh fuck, I shouldn't have said that. Yeah. You know, so
like people just like Instagram.
Then it was just like, then it was just like you know, because we were at the time we were talking about how like, you know, she didn't want to say how old she was and blah blah blah, and I don't know. It just, so then after that I was just like, just out of respect, I try not to, because it's like, who am I to like talk about somebody's personal business?
Yeah, but I mean, like, do you not even talk about it like surface level about?
It's hard because when you start talking about it, you tend to like have to give reference. Like you have to be like, you know, well, I'm this way. Well, this is what happened. Then I'm revealing information. So it's hard. I talk about my own personal things with my fan. Like I talk about my mom a lot, like having dementia. And, like I talk about these kind of things. But in terms of like my personal life, it's hard to get into those things without like revealing more than I want to about someone else's business.
Especially in this setting, because it's dangerous. I always find that, you know, every time we record a podcast, I'm like, why the fuck did I say that? Yeah. Because you forget that you're not just talking to your friends.
I know.
It's so easy to fall into that. You go deeper and deeper until you're like, oh shit. Now everyone knows the fucking color of her nipples. Like,
but see, those kind of things is like, I don't really think those are the things you're talking about. I think it's easy to hide behind those things. You know what I mean? I mean, I just personally think that, like, you know, especially in comedy, like, you know, society, we're afraid of femininity. You know, we're so afraid of it. We don't want to admit how scary and uncomfortable it makes us feel. It's the reason why female comics always have to dress down and like ponytails and jeans and like almost a boy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But then like masculinity can be on stage and it could just be like the head of it. You know, these sort of A-type personality comics, like Chris D'Elia, for instance. He's just like, you know, he's an attractive, rugged dude. He's up there and his masculinity is coming through his comedy, and all the women in the crowd are like, oh, I want this guy, you know?
Yeah.
But like, it doesn't work the same opposite. Like if there's a woman on there and she's got, you know, a nice body and whatever it is like that, it becomes like a distraction as opposed to enhancing the experience.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. You know? I think that girls should dress however the fuck they want to do on stage. But, you know, when you talk about femininity, I wonder, I wish men would kind of lean into their feminine side a little bit more. It's there. I have a masculine side. All chicks do. Yeah. And, you know, it's praised when we, you know, lean into our masculine side and you're like, yeah, she's a dope ass chick. She's
exactly what I'm talking about.
You know what I mean?
Though.
She can roll with the boys or whatever, right? But when, like, my male best friend is someone that I can shop with. He will tell me straight up if I look a hot mess express. He's like, nope, take that shit off. You know, you look horrible. Like I love that in men. I find that very attractive in men.
Well, I think that, like, again, I think we're talking about the same thing, because I think that is like what is, you know, we get this whole thing. It's like, oh, you're gay. Like I had to cut something out of my podcast with Bobby when him and his brother, because I do this bit about Disney, you know, and then for no reason, Bobby, he goes, you know, when you're singing, you know, that thing it's very gay. It comes off gay. Like, he said that to me, and I was like, I got so mad at him. Yeah. Because I was like, what the fuck are you talking about? Yeah. You wear a thong and lap dance a dude on stage.
He also admits to like sucking dick. So.
Yeah, but it's like, I didn't know where that, it just came, it was so out of like out of nowhere that I was like, but that vibe is why men tend to like not like lean into that part, even though it's there all the time. Yeah. You know, it's like, I'm a diva. I didn't realize this until my ex-girlfriend said this to me, you know, because she was like at the Comedy Store, and then like Brad Williams' wife. No, she wasn't with me. And Brad Williams was like, where's your girl? And I was like, she was like, oh, because we have a support club for like, you know, women that date comics.
I remember that. I have spoken to her.
Yeah, she was like, we have a support club. And then I told a girl about it. I was like, hey, you know, she wants to, you know, and she was like, oh, this is what Rachel said. She was like, I need that. Yeah. Because I need to know, like, how do they deal with your travel, and how do they deal with your diva behavior? You know? And I was like, what are you fucking talking about? How dare you?
In front of my friends?
Yeah. You know, I was like, diva behavior. And then I said to myself, oh, you know what? Yes, I am demanding and like, I want things a certain way. And like, you know, and so I guess that, you know, I don't know what that is, but like, I wish we would lived in a society that it was okay to like all of your parts of you without it being like judged.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that, oh my God, I love that about you. I think that's what I find comforting about you. Yeah. It's why I'm probably able to talk, it's my maternal deeply.
Side.
But it is. It's
Come here, baby. I'm like a fat black woman. Come here, baby. Come here, but tell mama everything.
I mean, look, I have very like rugged masculine friends and, who I'm very close with, but, we talk about like spearfishing, you know what I mean? And that requires me to turn on my masculine side, and they love that about me.
Yeah.
But the people that I am, the men that I really, really adore are the ones who are not afraid to be soft.
Do you think that that's why a lot of women have like a gay friend, like a super gay friend?
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah, we all do.
But there's still something. But then there is still something missing from that, because you're like, yeah, I love that you're a guy and you can pick out the right color scheme. But there's still a party that also wants a guy that's like, hey, girl,
Yeah.
with that.
Yeah, I think that's
some
probably
weird balance, right?
I probably found that most attractive about Bobby, that he was, right now we're decorating our bedroom and he likes pink sheets. He wants a pink wall. Like
just how particular he was about what he wanted the house to look like.
Yeah.
That's why it took so long.
Yeah.
To find it. I just how he was telling me, I was like, dude, why are you obsessing over this?
Yeah.
This is what I want, Yeah. So it's like, I get it. I mean, but don't you think that there are different relationships? Like there are things we appreciate about a certain friend that you have, that this person is this way. And it's like, I'm glad that person is that way and doesn't have, I wouldn't want all my friends to be multifaceted.
Yeah.
Sometimes you want to be with you got that hot mess girlfriend and you're like, I just need to be out with this bitch because she don't, she ain't talking deep. We just like out here looking at men or whatever it is like that.
It's the same reason why I watch Love Island or Real Housewives of.
I'm a Big Brother fan.
Look, I watch Diagnosis.
Yeah.
I watch fucking smart shows like, smart comedies. Once in a while. Yeah. I'm going to have to turn in that, Love Island. Yeah. And it's just because I don't want my brain to fire, and sometimes when I want just a night of no questions and no philosophizing.
Yeah.
I need dumbass Stacy.
Especially when it's hard, when you're like always doing a podcast and it's just always stimulating your brain. Like, this is very stimulating conversation right now. And it's like, even when it's being silly, our brains are working into like, and so sometimes, that's why
I don't know how you guys do it as often as you do.
Like every night. Yeah.
But also like the interactions that you have to have every night with very similar minds of that, just the chaotic nature.
Yeah.
I mean, that shit is, you're either hardwired to do it or you're not. I'm not. That's why I do my podcast once a week. And that is my maximum. That is my max. That's why when you were like, come on, let's do Scorpion Lashes. I'm like, do I have it in me?
Well, we just have to find what it should be. Like, it doesn't have, like, this is a Riffin with Griffin episode. Like, I don't want our thing to be necessarily like this.
No. I wanted to be more quick fire.
Yeah.
Like 30 minutes, silly, light.
Boom. Yeah. Boom, boom, boom. Maybe we take like I said, I thought we take like a video question from someone and we break it down and then we're done. Like, that's it for this week. And to see you next week. You know what I mean? And I totally get it. But it's like, sometimes I don't want to be stimulated all the time either. And I play video games because of that. You know what I mean?
Do you feel like video games just allow you to shut down certain parts of yourself and just have like one primary focus?
I think that video games provide like, it keeps my brain active and working without, but not in the back, but not in the front.
But like a awake idle.
Yeah. Yes.
Like on neutral.
Yes. Yeah, so I'm still exercising my brain and I'm working on hand-eye coordination and being able to think, because I pride myself in being able to think fast. I got to like boom, 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 which is like, to get personal, is a problem I have like with my ex, is like we don't think on the same speed. Doesn't mean that it's like and that's important sometimes. Like sometimes we don't get to the same place at the same time.
But you know,
that's frustrating.
It's frustrating, but I've found over time that's not a mark of like that doesn't mean a discrepancy in intelligence.
No, not at all. I don't think that.
Because I used to think that where I'm like slow talkers or I'm like, come on, like fucking get it together. But then
if I'm being honest, I felt the same way too. Just to say that out loud, well, I'm gonna let you finish, but like, yes, you do think that. You do go like, this person is fucking stupid because they're not, and it's not that.
Yeah.
It's not that at all. I just started to race a lot sooner, and my processing power was like pow, 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 pow,
exactly.
pow.
And that's why you have really good, thoughtful writers who aren't necessarily dynamic in conversation, but that's just because they get to that place a little slower. And I used to get the same frustration with people. I'm like, just spit it out.
Yeah.
What is the general thesis of what you're trying to say? But then I started hanging around you motherfuckers, and you guys are fast, and I feel slow. And that's what really humbled me, where I'm like, wow, I can't keep up with none of these people. And that's when I realized, oh, I'm not at the speed that they operate. The people that I am frustrated with, they're not at the speed that I operate. So I'm somewhere in the middle, but they're like my sister. My sister is someone who's very like introverted, a little bit more quiet, but she has a vocabulary like you wouldn't believe. She is so well read. She is she talks like she's from the 1800s. Very like proper English, very just brighter than me in all regards. But she doesn't speak as fast as I do or as emphatically, but she is the brighter sister.
Well, sometimes people are also emotionally slow. Like that's a thing too.
Difficult.
That's hilarious. Can't deal with that. No, but like, no, Bobby's like that. He's not like that with you now because you guys have been together for so long, but he's for sure like emotionally, he's a stump.
No, he's developmentally stunted when it comes to understanding other people's emotions, but his own, he knows his own emotions and he's a quick feeler.
So we just described he's selfish.
Is that what it is?
We just a fancy way of calling the little fuck selfish. He is selfish sometimes. He's very like, because it'll be like, Bobby, we need to do this at this time, and he's just like that. He tried to fuck me over with that meeting. You know what I mean? Like he's like, it's like that's just how he just. So he's like he understands his emotions.
Yeah, very well.
Right. He understands his emotions, why he feels like I totally get him. Like when he was telling the story one time about going on set to a new set, and then the lady, it was like, oh, are you background? And took him to the background people. And he sat there and waited. Yeah. And I know why he did that. Yeah. Yeah,
of course. Yeah.
And I'm like, I totally get him. Yeah. And so that's an advanced thought process of like, oh, okay, you're going to treat me like this. I'm going to show you what I'm going to do. Okay. But sometimes it's like, yo, man, I need you to like get back to me. Yeah. I need you to return my calls. You know, I need you to be like, I'm reaching out to you. And it's so in the same way, we're talking about people's intelligence level. That doesn't mean he loves any less.
It doesn't.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. I just think that you know how there's a book of like 5 love languages.
Oh, I love the love languages shit. The love languages is my shit, man. Don't get me started.
I don't think that applies to certain Koreans. I really don't think it does.
Oh, what do you think, Bobby? Has Bobby done the love language test? Because I bet you the first one on his is acts of service.
No.
What is it?
What act of service?
No. His love language is he receives.
Oh, he receives it.
Yeah, as acts of service.
Probably acts of service. You're right.
I'm sure it is because that's my number one too.
And I'm the same.
Yeah. Oh, that's okay. Well, then you need him to do shit for you.
I don't need any type of like verbal affirmation.
I actually have my thing right here. My acts of service.
Okay, what are the 5 again?
I'm gonna tell you right now. We can go to it right now. We can go to it in the acts of. Okay, so mine are in order are acts of service, physical touch, words of affirmation, quality time, and receiving gifts. Those are my 5 in a row.
In
order of importance.
Can I see that?
Oh yeah, sure. Go ahead.
Okay, so I'll tell you my order. My number 1 is actually not acts of service.
Oh.
My number 1.
You have to take the test though. You can't just guess it.
No, because I've read this before and I remember. I'm trying to remember.
It's not about reading it. It's about you have to answer all those questions, because how you answer those questions will determine how they come up with this thing. It's important because you know what? I'm gonna tell you something right now. When you're taking the test, those questions, the way they're worded, it's so important for like your own, because you start to go, oh wow, yeah, this is more important than this.
Yeah, but I'm telling you right now that words of affirmation really is not my thing. Neither is receiving gifts.
You mean I don't need? Yeah, that's why.
Not even from my own family.
Receiving gifts is the last thing.
Yeah,
it's the last thing for me. You know,
like thank you, but
I'm still a physical touch guy. Look
I'm
number
huge
2
on physical. Okay,
your physical touch might be your number 1. You never know.
And that's the thing that I've compromised a little too much in my relationship with Bobby, is because I wanted to be the cool chick in the beginning, like in the first year, and I wanted to go with whatever he was comfortable with. He was affectionate, but he's like a cat. He doesn't. He'll come to you when he wants to come to you.
Yeah. All of a sudden, you feel something on your leg. You're like, oh, hey, kitty. That's Bobby. He's just like on your leg, like, oh my.
And it's never when you think. He's gonna come. Yeah. Like, no, I'm taking you shit. Now's not the time to rub up against my leg. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I think physical touch and quality time and acts of service are probably almost equal with one another there.
I want you to take the test.
I will.
I want you to take the test. We should what we should do on our first episode of Scooby and Lashes is you're taking the test.
What's it going to reveal?
Then we get the results. No.
That I'm miserable.
No. Well, I mean, like, I realized, do you think that this love language thing is important for a couple?
I just don't think that it applies to a lot of people. And one thing that really pissed me off about the book too was it only referred to men. Like I forgot what it was, but it didn't.
Really?
Yeah, I remember. Maybe it was like some outdated version of the book, but I was like,
I find it very helpful in terms of like, because my ex, she took we took it together.
What was hers?
It was like, it was physical touch, receiving gifts.
Oh.
But here's the thing. When you hear that, like people that like receiving gifts, okay, if that's their love language, we have this opinion about it. You know, it's like, oh, but I'm telling you, if that's the person's love language, I'm talking about a Starbucks gift card.
Yeah.
Anything, flowers. Like, if the person they like receiving gifts, the way they respond, it's worth doing.
Yeah, because I think it's not about the gift itself; it's about the thoughtfulness.
Exactly. But I'm just saying, knowing people's love language is an important tool. It helps. I would love to see what Bobby's like if he did it.
Now that I think about it, I think it's receiving gifts. Because for his birthday, this is what he did to me, Erik. And I clutched a golden goose box.
I wanted to be in town, but I was out of town.
We didn't do anything.
Oh, you did? I thought you guys were having a big dinner for him.
No, but he was feeling still a little morose about his dad and stuff like that. So I was like, it didn't feel like a year of celebration. So we just kept it low key. But he said, I had got this cake made for him, and it was a 3-tiered cake, and it had a collage of all his pictures. And I also got him like a mint chocolate ice cream cake that he wanted, and I got it. Anyways, I thought that would be enough, and that I would take him out to dinner because he said he wanted something low key. Mm-hmm. But it turns out the night before, and I was like, well, what would make you happy? He was like, golden goose shoes or a Montclair jacket. And I was like, are you kidding? And he's like, no, like I'm not kidding. Like if it's not any of those two, I will not receive your gift. I refuse to take anything less. And so the next morning I scrambled over to Golden Goose. Those fucking shoes are like $600-$700.
Yeah.
I'm like crying on my way out because it's just a very painful purchase to make,
Yeah. Are you a cheap Filipino?
That's just not in a regular person's budget, okay? You motherfuckers have the money in that way to throw around $600-$700 for shoes.
You making a lot of money on Tiger Belly.
You don't know that.
I do know that actually. I actually do know.
But I would never buy myself a pair of $700 shoes.
Well, but
when he received it, the joy in his face was just unmatched, and it made me happy.
And that's what I'm saying.
Dried my tears.
But I'm saying, but he's such a weirdo.
Yeah.
Like, you know, it's like he literally is my weirdest friend. Like, it's the most complicated relationship.
But people need to stop telling him that, because I think that he revels in that fact.
Oh, I
think that it's become such his identity to be this very eccentric artist, selfish, crafty, you know, lying.
We have to stop allowing it.
But we need to stop praising it and make it something that makes him. We talk about it so much that he thinks those are the interesting parts about him, and it's not. But that's our fault too.
You know what? This is going to be our. You know, maybe our podcast should be about fixing Bobby.
That's what you call it. It's a great name.
Yeah, that's our thing. Figure out a little accompanying podcast.
How to fix a Bobby.
How to fix a Bobby. You know, because my favorite times with him are. We go eat after the Comedy Store, and we're just sitting there, and he's sitting across the table from me, and we're just talking about stuff, and he's just so interesting. You know, we're interested in each other's thoughts, and like we know, I'm like, oh, this is my friend right here, and that's why I get so frustrated the other times when I'm like, who are you right now? Who the fuck are you being? What are you doing? You know, like at the Comedy Store, he's like, you know, being this character. He loves being a character of himself and just not being himself.
I always tell him there's this rule in the house. Before he walks into the door, he has to take his mask off.
Oh.
So he knows.
Is that why his head is so big? Because he has like.
Yeah. He has to wear that heavy mask. Whatever. Yeah. Who he is when he's just with me. Yeah. Is something that I treasure so deeply. I don't care to describe it to people.
You know what? I totally get it.
Yeah.
I totally get it because I have the same thing with him. So I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah. And when we first met.
And that's why it's so fucking annoying when he's not like that.
Exactly.
It's so jarring. You're just like, okay, you're not. But that part of him is so precious that you're like, okay, I'll put up with this other shit.
Yeah. And I think that's either the most special thing in the world or the most manipulative thing in the world. I can't quite figure it out, because even when we first met, I found our connection something that I never cared to explain to people, because we just meshed. I can never describe why I loved Bobby. It was just when it was just him and I. Yeah. We just clicked. We didn't have to explain ourselves to the other. And he always says that. He's like, I feel like I've known you, you know, my whole life. And I feel the same way about him.
Well, that's nice.
But
and the floor drops.
But when he puts that mask back on and he goes to another place and he tells everyone all my business. This is when we first started dating. And I'm like, who the fuck does this guy think he is? You know,
I know.
I
remember actually.
Yeah.
I remember when he went on David's thing that he revealing shit he shouldn't reveal.
It was the most treasonous thing I'd ever.
Treason is a great word. Your boyfriend should never be treasonous.
Like, imagine that. Imagine just having this conversation about, you know, I'm not ready to have a child. I have a heart condition and doing this. And you're having this genuine moment of like deciding, you know, whether or not you should like terminate a pregnancy and having, you know, shedding tears about it together and saying, okay, it's just not our time. And then like when you're in the clinic, finally getting it done and someone texts you like, hey dude, your guy is just talking about how you're about to kill a baby. And I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah. When did you make the choice that you were okay with all that?
With what?
With him.
You said, it's like we have so many precious moments together.
Yeah. But I'm saying there had to be a point where you were like, there has to be a point where you go, I could put up with all that. Or you could have been like, oh, hell no, I can't deal. I won't be able to deal with this. Like Howard Stern's wife left him because he was like that on the radio. Just talking. You know what I mean? I don't know if that's actually the whole reason, but I'm just saying, I remember even from the movie he was talking about, you know, his wife just got sick of all that.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a certain point for you that you were like, well, you actually joined in.
There was he explained to me that in order, if I wanted to, if he put it this way, he's like, this is my life. My comedy is drawn from, sad to say, but even like my personal stuff.
Yeah, me too.
And I don't know if I have the discipline to leave you out of it completely because,
that's honest.
Relationships, our relationship is such a massive part of my day and a massive part of my life. And so it takes up so much of my mental space and my heart space that how can I possibly keep it out?
Yeah, that's so honest.
And so I'm like, okay, so exactly what are we going to...
Just checking the sound. Keep going. Sorry.
Exactly. What are we going to be saying about me? Yeah. And he was like, are you going to be okay with everything? And I'm like, I don't know. Let's see.
Yeah.
And I was like, if you're going to say something about me and reveal something about me, try to balance it out and like say some nice things.
Oh, yeah. It's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah,
don't just call me. Don't just paint me as a baby killer. You know what I mean? And that it was solely my decision. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So just like throw some words of affirmation.
Which is obviously one of your love languages.
Maybe, but accidentally, I found it freeing. Accidentally, I found it to be like it really is not a big deal for people to know like those surface things about me, because those are the surface things about me. That isn't my soul. And I know this is going to be really hard to believe, but what I put out in our podcast and Tiger Belly is not my soul. And my friends can attest to that.
Right.
They know me so differently, so differently.
Yeah. Well, it's become like you guys have, because like when Bobby has a podcast persona.
Yeah, don't we all?
Yeah, right. So now it's like, so then you've established your own.
Right, and you know what that is? And trolls hate this especially about me, but I will maintain it. This persona until the day I die is that I am antagonistic with Bobby and I will throw him under the bus for as long as I live because that is what he responds to. It's what elicits the best comedy out of him to not be lovey-dovey. Yeah. You go ahead and try to be lovey-dovey with Bobby. He will fucking, he'll punch you in the vagina and tell you to leave the room. Yeah. He responds the best to being antagonized. And that's the same with you. And I think that's why you guys, work well together.
Yeah.
It's like insult after insult.
Yeah, we just go. But then there's like, even though my tender moment from him was the first time I'm seeing him say something nice to me publicly. Yeah. you fuckers cut to commercial.
That was not my doing. When I saw that, I myself was flabbergasted. I was like, oh no.
Yeah. That's what does Gilbert have against me?
To be fair,
I know that's fucking Gilbert.
Gilbert hadn't slept in 3 days. He had taken a flight.
He made that choice. No,
this is how it went down.
He made a choice. You sticking up for Gilbert?
Yes,
right now?
I am, because he felt genuinely bad, and he even said, "Is Erik pissed?" And I was like, I don't think it's that big of a deal.
No,
but
it's not. But because it's just, I thought I was like, oh, here's another funny joke from
When Bobby's father passed away, Gilbert was flying back from Chicago. When Gilbert landed, Bobby said, everyone has to fly to Arizona tonight to record a podcast because I want to record a podcast. We didn't think he wanted to.
Oh, right.
We didn't think he was. We were just going to wait it out.
Yeah.
So Gilbert lands from LAX, goes straight to Burbank Airport, goes to Arizona. We record this podcast at like 1 a.m.
I saw that one. Yeah.
Yeah, and then we fly back the next day at 7 a.m. and then he has to upload it quickly and edit it. He's like, it was just one giant blur for him. He just put the ads wherever the fuck he thought. I'm so sorry you were the
that seems too. I don't believe that. I think there was a part of him that was like, this will be funny.
He
There's like, come on. And I'm watching, I'm like, oh wow, Bobby's finally, excuse me guys. It's like, this motherfucker, man. Shit.
Oh God.
Well, you know what? I think we're at a good, because I feel like you and I feel like we can just yap forever. I don't know.
Yeah, we should really cut this
I don't want us to yap forever. I do appreciate you coming over and coming on, and we'll figure out. I know how we'll figure. Guys, we're going to figure out something fun and light to do for our Scorpion Lashes, especially if Bobby is daring to do a podcast with Andrew Santino, which I honestly, if they do it, they do it. What is it ever going to be? But see, Bobby, the thing is, I've called Bobby privately, and he knows, because I know how he would feel if it was him in my position, and I know he knows how I feel. Yeah. Like him and I are similar that way. You know, it's a small slight.
He's very sensitive.
He's sensitive about like he takes things personal because he sees this big picture of like, you know, so I'm a little bit like that. I'm not as far gone as he is, but there's a little bit of like, you know, you feel like, oh, so you don't want to do it with me? Like, why don't you want to do it with me? How come we didn't do it? How come we're not going to do it? You know what I mean? So there is what anybody would feel that way naturally. It's something that we've been talking about for so long, and then all of a sudden I get this call like, oh, this is really going to happen, and boom, I'm like, wait a minute, what happened? You know what I mean? So you take it a little personal.
He was a little sensitive even about you and I doing it.
See, good. That's exactly. You know what? Secretly, that's why I did it.
Because he was like, so are you going to do it? Are you going to do it? Are you going to do it? I was like, I haven't thought about it really.
Yeah,
you know?
See?
So you're going to do it, babe?
That's this is my only way to get back at him.
And all of us, and since I've said that, I think Erik and I will, all of a sudden his interest to do one with Santino has waned a little bit.
Yeah, motherfucker. Yeah, how does that feel, huh?
You guys
we're gonna do brown and brown. That's what we're gonna do. We're gonna do beige and brown, you know.
Only in the summertime.
No, but listen, we're gonna all work it out. We'll figure it out. Next thing you know, we're doing a group podcast and it's all four of us.
And I do not want to be a part of that.
Listen, I don't want to be a part of it either. Honestly, I don't know if I would have been able to handle. See, this is what I'm saying.
No. What part of this face?
Yeah. I don't know if I would have been able to handle even doing a podcast with Bobby, but like it's like, but I do like like Steve's another one. Like I have Steve when I have Steve on, like he's a lot, you know. So you know what I mean. So they're just a lot. The Lee brothers are a lot, you know, just a lot. So, but they're so entertaining. You know what I mean? It's just fun. I like being in their satellite. You know, around their orbit around them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're just fun guys to be around, and so are you. Listen, I think that in closing, I think that you should stop, get off your ass, and make some efforts to get back into the medical field in some form or another. Don't use the excuses. Forgive yourself. You know what I mean? You know you were great at it, so do it. Find a way to do it and overcome those things. You are good enough. You know, you're great at doing podcasts. You really are. She is. You're good at this. Don't act like you're not, because you are. You're good. When I watch Tiger Belly, I'm like, oh, I get it. That's so important. Your dynamic is important with him. It makes it what it is. It's part of the magic. You know what I mean? So know your worth in that. And I thank you for coming on. This is Khalyla, right? I say it right. Kuhn.
See, you didn't get it right. Why did I even bother telling you?
Kuhn.
Yeah.
Khalyla Kuhn from Tiger Belly.
Thanks for having me.
My friend, actually. I'll say that even more importantly than my podcast buddy is my friend.
I'll pick you up from the airport.
I don't trust it. You're gonna have the coffee ride. Guys, make sure you subscribe. I'm gonna have all the information below. And thanks for watching and listening to Riffin with Griffin. And I'll see you next week.